Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to another Mili reaction. Today we have one from Millennium Mother. I haven't been to this album in a while, but this is Vitamins. It was actually recommended by my Patreon member, Isaac, but I didn't have any other clear winner to the last Limbus Company video for like what song I should get to next. So I was like, I'll just do another Mili one, and he had a few in the queue, so I just picked one of those. Lucky him, right? Again, it's been a while since I've heard anything from this album specifically, so it's gonna be kind of nice to revisit it and hear the sound differences again. I've heard so much Mili in the meantime that like I've kind of got an idea of what like the individual identity of each album kind of is, but I'm also very much surprised every time I say that, so I'm not gonna marry anything like usual, and without further ado, let's go! That's a beautiful progression. The way it kind of tails off there on the high note. Oh.
Sacrifice yourself. Don't push your values onto the crowd.
All right, Cassie. Doing her lyrical thing. Let's see where this one goes. I love that. Both of those. The drum breaks there. The aggression in that. Record scratches. Oof. Oh man. I always think I have a grasp on the message. But then Cassie does her thing, you know? Ooh, a little bit of vocal chop fun. Why not? Very bouncy bass. Nice pluck. I really love this bit crushed drum sound in here too. But I really love that very plucky bass. Love the chimes in there too. Just an underutilized piece. The A and B of the music box, the piano is really cool too. Oh, man. Their compositions are always so interesting. It's so experimental, but it's so them. try to listen very closely to the lyrics because they change a lot of what the song could be, especially with Mili. And then choices like that, like letting that drone go. Ooh. No resolution here. They like tried to kick in for another verse there. Ooh, cheeky. I miss this album. So I'm no stranger to Mili approaching lyrics with a social commentary of sorts, and this one lyrically definitely was that, with the whole like the take your vitamins, pill swallowing sort of concept there of hypocrisy. And if like a lot of the lyrics felt very much like, if you're going to complain, then shut the fuck up if you're not going to do anything. Like it very, very much was like that idea lyrically. Like in a world where people have power, if you're just going to sit there, bitch and moan and not actually take part in creating a solution, then shut up and swallow your pills. Even though they are hard to swallow, take your vitamins. I think that's kind of the tone they were going for here, and it's very nice. It's very straightforward and fairly obtuse with that message. It's not trying to hide anything behind a bunch of clever wording like I'm used to hearing from Mili. Like this was still hiding it a little bit, but it was one of the more blatant versions of a Mili lyricism that I've ever heard, where usually it's a lot more poetic. This one did definitely have that with the whole parallel of kings and slaves, etc., but it still didn't feel quite as mystical as their usual approach to lyrics. It didn't seem quite so fantastical. So I think that actually helps this message, since it is socio-political commentary. That needs to be a little bit more locked into something that we as the listeners can relate to or understand at very least, if we don't necessarily agree. And this one, I don't think there's a person out there who would disagree with the overall concept of this, that if you aren't going to do anything, why are you complaining? If you want to do something, be the change you want to see, you know? Like that's a fairly common adage in the world, and I think that that's the overall message here. If you want something done, help make it happen, and don't just sit there acting like you're important for thinking so, you know? Do something. Actions make differences. But musically, this one was pretty interesting because it was featuring World's End Girlfriend, who's a producer, and I could kind of hear where their influence was placing in here, mostly in the rhythm stuff. I think a lot of that like more aggressive bit crush sort of breakbeaty stuff that was in there was a nice change of pace from the usual sound that Mili has, but I feel like the piano stuff is very much their approach. Maybe some of the leads, maybe that pluckiness might have been World's End Girlfriend, but either way, a very nice blend of these two creators making this sound work together. I mean, like, they both kind of have that sort of experimental flavor, but this one felt even more so because it was two experimental people working together for the common goal of this song, and it made it feel a lot more alive. There's always been weird experimental stuff in Mili's work, but this one definitely had a little bit more of that. It felt different, and that might have just been because they had the person helping them and putting input in, so of course it's going to change whatever song this could have been if they weren't involved. But at the same time, that's kind of what makes a song what it is. Like, in every single scenario, in every single piece of art, the only reason that it exists as its final product and final version is because of the people who utilized their talents to make that happen. If you didn't have one of those factors in there, you could have gotten a completely different final product. So that's kind of just art in nature, you know? Like, that's what it is. It is a product of the people who make it. But it also makes me wonder how deep that collaboration went. Did they have a hand in the lyrics? Did World End help with that? Or was it entirely like, okay, let's write a song with Cassie and Yamato Kasai making their thing together, and they were just like, you know what, this needs something. I've got an idea, let's send this over to this other person, let's see what they can do with it. And then they basically remixed it. Like, that could have been the way they did that too, basically allowing them to put their spin on what was already a generalized concept of a song, and they had the chords ready and everything. So it kind of makes me wonder if, like, Yamato did all the piano stuff, like that whole solo section, and was basically done with it, but then they were like, well, we still want to have you on this more. do something with that, and that's where the whole dueling situation between the music box and the piano happened. That could have very well been the case, like, hey, let's just switch this out so it feels like it's arguing, which kind of fits with the theme of the song as well, the whole if you're not going to do anything, shut up. And that almost feels like somebody's trying to start an argument, but they keep just butting heads, you know. It's still going in the same direction, but they just can't agree. I don't know how accurate that is, but it feels right. I don't know, there's something in my gut. That's how I tend to do these videos anyway, just the gut feeling of what is this, what does it truly feel like it's trying to convey. And I feel like that part was just like it was still getting towards the same message, but it still kind of sounded like it was fighting itself with those two different instruments going at it. So maybe there is something there, or it's just because they wanted to do that because it sounded cool. I always have to like put a disclaimer in, because like I don't know what the intent is, but it's very possible, because musicians are musicians, and sometimes creativity is as simple as having an idea, a crackhead thought that you're just like, you know what, that might sound neat, and then you do it, and then that's it. There's no deeper meaning, there's no like commentary, deep social commentary on it. It's just because it sounded different and it's fun. That's kind of the point of having experimental approaches to music, which most of Mili is as a whole. So it very well could have just been that, like, hey, this sounds cool as is, just piano, but let's break it up a little bit. So it could be something that they did with World's End, or it's just because it sounded cool, therefore it happened. You know, not everything is super deep, but when it comes to Mili, you can't help but bring yourself to think that it might be, because they tend to do that poetic shit all the time, and I love it, but it also makes it very hard to kind of feel it out sometimes, especially in a song like this, which has its very obvious message, but you just can't tell how deep that rabbit hole goes into the production of the song and how much involvement there was in tying it all together. It could have been just, this sounds cool, let's put it together. You know, not everything needs to be deep. But I've also been just yapping about this for a while, so I think I will call it here. Thank you all so very much for watching. If you have another song you want me to get to from Limbus Company or other Project Moon stuff, or just another Mili song, drop it in the comments below and I will do my best as always to get to those. And thank you to Isaac for putting this into the queue, just coincidentally is what we got to today. I've seen Vitamins around quite a few times, but it was always outvoted by something else, so I never got around to it, but today's its lucky day, I guess. But yeah, all that aside, if you just want to follow me and support me for more stuff coming in the future, you know how to do all that, and I will see you all in the next video. Goodbye!